Hi there people, welcome back to another episode. Today we are going to look at Sndl growers because we've seen a lot of interesting action for Sndl. Basically, where we remain now, we're at a price of about $1 exactly, but in the past 5 days we've been seeing quite a lot of interesting moves. We've actually dipped this week as low as the 90-cent range, and actually we have picked ourselves back up. We are still remaining above $1 for the remainder of Friday, which is fantastic. However, you know what, the past 5 days has been a steep sell-off. If we look at the past 1 month, we can see that after about the 16th of March, things really did take a flip and actually start to go back down. So that is not good, but we are now coming to hopefully what looks like it could be an end for the sell-off for Sndl, because even if we look at how this one has been moving from the ultimate lows that we have seen, which were this week, we can see that now from those lows we are up by about 6.6%. Again, on Friday we did see another day in the red, but as the day came to an end, things were pretty flat. And again, moving into post-market hours, going forwards into pre-market hours for Monday, things so far are green, which is fantastic. So hopefully this could be a good indication of this one potentially picking itself back up on Monday. But yeah, we're giving all of my thoughts and opinions in this quick video. Make sure to give it a like if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel if you've not done that either. Obviously, it's completely free to do so, but do remember that I am not a financial advisor, and this is only my personal opinion. So again, if you do agree with me, if you don't agree with me, it's just what I personally believe. I could be wrong, I could be correct, but either way, you know, it's just my thoughts. So make sure to do your own research and all that kind of stuff, but we are going to start off by looking on the charts at how Sndl has been moving. So yeah, we can see, as I just discussed, things are not going too well for Sndl. Over the past month we've been seeing this very steep sell-off. Fortunately, it has actually been slowing down in prevalence from about the 8th of April, as you can see. Basically from the 6th onwards we actually saw this one start to slow down, and from those lows on the 8th we are now up, which is good. And we are remaining above this $1 range. We are sat exactly on a price of $1 now. If we look at how Friday was for this stock, we can see Friday saw a very high wick to the upside, which is good, but unfortunately it wasn't to last as the price did come down. And again, the price has actually been quite flat for the past 2 or 3 days, perhaps even the last 4 days, which isn't that bad. And again, if we can remain above this $1 range, I'd be more than happy to see Sndl in a fantastic position right now. So Sndl isn't doing too bad. Yes, it has been down for a long time, but again, if this one can start to pick itself up again, that would be fantastic. Not too much action per day we are seeing for Sndl. If we can have a look at figures of volume, we can see that with Sndl, when volume does get quite hot, we've seen volume up here of 1 billion, then up to 1.7 billion, up to about 900 million. So again, at a very high volume, it is in the billions, if not the high hundreds of millions. Now, if we're looking at volume for the past few days, we can see volume here 212 million, volume down here of only 140 million, this day here 115, and moving into a bit more recent times, we're looking at 141, that up to 180, and then back down to 138 million on Friday. So volume has been quite low for these days. This is important to note. So not too much has been going on with the stock. Again, this is in comparison to when the stock is actually quite lively and what we usually see in that time period. So again, not too much is going on in the action of volume. Now, one thing that I do want to have a look at is the amount of short interest for Sndl. So if we can have a quick look down here, we can see the short volume ratio for Sndl at the moment is 18%, and we can see that the short volume is 24 million and 902,000 in comparison to a market volume of 138 million. 0.4. So we can see again that is quite high actually. We can see an 18% volume short ratio, which is rather large. I think this is very interesting to see for Sndl. Again, that is quite a large short interest, and it does kind of make sense. It does kind of reflect on what we have been seeing with the share price recently as well. I think these people probably have made money, you know, off that dip more recently. Now, where we stand with Sndl now, I think we're in a very prime position for a bit of a reversal. You know, things have been slowing down in the last week, which is good. Again, the sell-off looks like it was coming to an end on Friday. We saw a very high wick to the upside. It wasn't enough to remain in the green, but continuing from where we were on the previous day on the Thursday, we can see the lows of that day were quite steep. So the fact that we didn't dip too much lower on Friday was quite fantastic. Again, the fact that we remained above the $1 range as well, or at least on the $1 mark exactly, is very, very good. So I think going forwards, we do have a lot of potential for Sndl, both from a technical standpoint and from a fundamental standpoint. Obviously, from a technical standpoint, we don't want to see this one go much lower than the $1 mark, and it's absolutely obtainable that we can remain above that if we are lucky with Sndl. From a fundamental standpoint, things were really picking up for Sndl going into the end part of last year. According to Google, we can see some details about the financials for the company here. So EPS was beaten in quarter 3. We can see that the EPS was actually better than expected by 168%. And actually that was the same in quarter 2, but not in quarter 1. So again, interesting things going on there. Now we have overall had a look at how this one has been moving based on revenue figures in the past, and you can do that in a bit more detail if you would like to down here. So again, this article is coming from the Motley Fool, and it talks a little bit about how things have been moving. So again, it talks about the fact that sales have grown by 7.8%. Now they're saying that this is not a large amount. I think that is fairly true, to be honest. We can see that net sales were about 13 million Canadian dollars for the period ending December the 1st, 2020. That was only 7.8% higher than the Canadian dollar 12.9 million in the previous period. So again, it wasn't the largest increase, but it was still an increase, which is good. We can see that actually looking down here, the quarter 3 numbers were abysmal for Sndl. Its sales in the period were actually down by a staggering 54% year over year, as it's transitioning from wholesale business to a brand that is more focused on branded retail sales. So there you go, that tells us a little bit about the company. Again, so revenue wasn't that bad, and of course it was quite low in comparison to what we were expecting. Again, it was leading on from apparently abysmal figures in quarter 3, but it was picking itself up. So again, not the best earnings, not the best at all, and that is just a fact. I think, this could actually lead to the fact why a lot of people are shorting this stock. So fair enough, I do completely understand that one. I think where we stand with Sndl and where we have been standing for some time is that what we initially saw was a lot of hype with Sndl. I think where we are right now is in a great position, to be honest, because let's face it guys, if you'd have bought this one back in January or February when it was at a few cents, perhaps a bit lower than it is now, you would have still made a very decent profit up until now, and again the growth pattern in that time period doesn't look too bad. Now what we actually saw is a massive rocket in the price of Sndl, in the past few months or so. I think it was bound to come down from those highs. I don't think we're going to be getting as high as $4 very soon. I think it is possible that we do have potential to bring ourselves back up past the $1.50 mark, and I would love to see nothing more. I think this definitely could take over a week, but I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. I think there is still a lot of attention around Sndl. I think the stock still does have potential. Now, when we look over to the American markets, we can obviously see that New York reaches a deal to legalize recreational marijuana, according to the New York Times. I think this is important. It does show where we are kind of going in the United States and potentially Canada as well for the use of recreational marijuana. And of course, basically, Sndl is a weed stock, as you already know. And you know what? This definitely could bring in extra revenue for the company going forwards if their product which they sell is legalized for recreational use. It would definitely allow them to access a lot more customers. We can see that the move paves the way for a potential $4.2 billion industry with millions of dollars in sales tax revenue reinvested in minority communities each year. So what this is basically saying is that this is a very, very big industry, and we already know that that is the case. There's a lot of potential for this industry, and again, as legalization does become more apparent across the United States, I think companies like Sndl and many others will hopefully be reaping the rewards. So where are we going with Sndl at the moment? Of course, the actual revenue figures for the company weren't great. I think it is definitely possible that we could see this one continue to dip, but personally I would love to see this one stay above the $1 range. Would I buy this one on Monday? Personally, I would not buy this one on Monday. I would wait until Tuesday, if not midweek Wednesday, just to see how this one does start to pick itself up, or if this one does start to drop even further going forwards into the earlier part of the week. Again, I will be updating you guys on what does happen throughout the week, but that's just my opinion so far. So overall, just a quick rundown on what has happened this week for Sndl, and I am not too happy with how this one has been moving. It is down, but fortunately we did manage to find a bit of a floor on Friday at the $1 range. So hopefully, like I said, we can remain in there, perhaps even pick ourselves up a bit, and I would love to see that happen going forwards into the new week. So again, more will be coming in the next 5 days. Thank you for joining me for this very quick one. Again, if I did miss anything, make sure to tell me in the comment section so that I can include it in the next episode. Goodbye, see you soon.